Hi guys, did you know that these 5 inventions are actually Dutch? I didn't. Stick around and we'll get right into it. Hi everyone, my name is Erin, and whether I'm a new face on your screen or you've seen me before, welcome to the channel. If you don't know much about the Netherlands, that is completely okay. They're a small country with the largest European port, and it's no surprise when they have a 280-mile long coastline with the Atlantic Ocean. They also share borders with Belgium down below it, and then Germany right next to it. Starting off with our first invention today is actually the submarine. Now, the submarine was actually originally conceptualized by someone else. It's not fully clear who, but Cornelius Drebbel was the first inventor to actually make a submarine. It was also the first vehicle that was actually able to be propelled underwater, which was huge. And as such, this submarine, aka the Drebbel 1, was actually the first submerged craft. Now, this craft was actually an enclosed rowboat propelled by 12 oarsmen, and it had a sloping front deck that, when momentum was applied to it, it would help further bring it underwater. King James I invited Drebbel out to test out his project in the River Thames. It apparently did well enough because even the king himself decided to trust the craft and rode on it for couple of minutes. Supposedly he didn't stay on for too long, and quite frankly, do you blame him much? But that being said, Drebbel went on to create 2 more submarines afterwards, each one being bigger than the last, until eventually the craft was big enough to hold 16 passengers. Now, for a wooden submersible rowboat, that's not that bad. With this next invention, we're actually going to be covering 2 things. And meanwhile, the second thing might not be quite an invention, it's more of a discovery. We're starting off with the microscope. Now, let's be clear. Anton von Leeuwenhoek never actually claimed to be the inventor, but a lot of documentation shows that he was the first creator of the single lens microscope, having created over 500 simple lens scopes over his lifetime. Originally, he had used magnifying glasses to help him inspect thread for his occupation as a draper, but he was also really interested in seeing the smaller details and felt that the magnifying glass wasn't quite good enough. With the invention of his single lens microscope, he was actually able to see biology samples and to such a great detail that he actually ended up discovering microbiology. He had written down many scientific notes about his discoveries and findings and submitted them to the Royal Society, which garnished him the name of Father of Microbiology. Now, this next one is actually 2 inventions. By the name of William Kolff, he was actually labeled as the father of artificial organs. Now, the first of his creations was actually the rotating kidney drum, which was the first artificial working kidney of its kind. His second invention of a similar fashion was actually called the twin coil kidney, which was the first kidney that was actually designed to be disposable and inexpensive, which was huge for the medical field. Now, 2 years after creating the twin coil kidney, he actually created the first working artificial heart, and they actually even tested it by transplanting it into a dog. Now, I feel bad for Fido, but at least he's got a second chance at life. Now, after the creation of his heart, he actually kept pushing forward for affordable dialysis care, as well as continuing developing artificial limbs, eyes, and even ears. In the end, for all of his efforts, he was nominated for the Nobel Prize and even rumored to be knighted by Queen Juliana of the Netherlands. For our next invention, you might be pretty familiar with it. You might even actually drive a car that has this technology in it. It's the 4-wheel drive. Now, while these guys might not have actually created the 4-wheel drive, as before it was largely used in agricultural equipment, such as tractors, these guys were the first to actually put it in an internal combustion engine. think of your car today. These guys are known as the Spiker Brothers. Now, the Spiker Brothers originally debuted the Spiker 60 HP in 1903 at the Paris Motor Show. It was the first of its kind for a couple of reasons. It was the first vehicle to have four-wheel braking. Think about your car today. With four braking discs on each wheel, it's been a pretty useful technology to make sure you're stopping at just the right moment to avoid those perpetually disastrous events. Another unique thing about this vehicle was that it was one of the first to have a six-cylinder engine, and if you ask any American, more horsepower, the better. Now, this next one, honestly, let's not get too crazy with it, but I can't guarantee anything. Originally created in the 17th century by Franciscus Sylvius, it was originally intended to be medication, and if you haven't figured out by now, I'm talking about gin. Now, originally, it was distilled for diuretic purposes, but some people found out that it also had a different side effect that was a little bit more pleasing than its original purpose. In fact, it became very popular with soldiers returning to England that it ended up becoming a huge social problem for England. And partly that was just because it was very inexpensive and very easy to get a hold of. But I mean, can you really blame them? All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed today's video on these Dutch inventions. If I missed any that you would have liked to have seen for next time, or if you had any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below. If you liked today's video and you want to see more, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. You can also follow us on our socials for future updates. I'll catch you guys around. Until next time.